Hello everyone, Fatality here with the link guide. Without further ado, let's begin. First and foremost, the most important thing you're going to be doing is learning neutral, so let's begin. So, a lot of what you want to be doing in neutral is using bomb as in a projectile, bomb as an arena trap, bomb as a combo tool, bomb as a setup, bomb as a kill, bomb as your everything. This move is your everything the same way that Diddy's banana is his everything. If you've detonated one and you have space, pull another one. 90% of the time, this is the correct decision. Trust me, your bomb is your everything, your bomb is your life force, your bomb is your love. So, the way you're going to be using this move is using a combination of the following. You can do raw throws into detonation, which on impact actually true combos into itself, as you can see in the counter. You need to make sure the timing's a little bit tight, but that's one way of going about it. Another way is using literally any of your hitboxes as a means of launching it. Now this is good in particular for mix-ups, putting people in pressure situations at timings that they're uncomfortable and unprepared for, and otherwise just using it as a way of conditioning, either hitting them with other means or setting up grabs so that you can do more stuff. Things like that. Another way of using it is to just use it along with Z-drops as a pressure tool, such as this. Stuff like that. There's also there's just shenanigans like that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff you can do. But otherwise, for the most part, I would recommend just practicing your Z-drop nairs, Z-drop back airs with it, and just otherwise just using your hitboxes as a way of moving it around and just disorienting your opponent at all times. You have to realize that a lot of time they're going to be scared of the explosion, which means you can use your other moves as a way of getting in with it. Good example is things like just using like this and then grabbing them because I think they're about to be blown up, so on and so forth. There's also stuff like hitting it with boomerang, hitting it with nair, hitting it with like forward air, hitting it with... A good example is things like... You get the idea. Just be creative, go in the lab, and hit it with everything you can think of and find uses for it. The ways you're going to complement bomb in neutral is going to be used in a lot of the following ways. Something that's solid but relatively underused is down tilt. This is one of your better jabbing tools in general, just for safe pressure, especially because it's pretty fast. You can kind of spam it a little bit like this. It has some pretty decent range to it, and it's a disjoint. Also, at low percents and at mid to higher percents, even if they DI away, you can combo it point blank into up B. So this is one of your bread and butters with it because of that. For an example, 27.6 damage, true combo, and it also works at kill percents. You can put Lucina at like, say... And that's a confirm, and it's great. Obviously you want to make sure that even if they DI it away, you don't just do up B straight up. You drift just a little bit forward and then up B, that way you carry that forward momentum. That way you ensure that you'll be able to carry them with all of the hits, and it will kill. It works especially well on like fast followers. You can use it on Fox. You can just run around fishing for it and it works. And aside from that, you're going to be using a lot of nair, because it comes out on frame 7, has only 6 frames of ending lag, decent power, combos into itself, at low percents it confirms into grabs. This move is almost as much of your everything as bomb itself is. A good example of something you can do is like this, into this, into this, and that's like... There we go. But like, see, stuff like that, almost 60 damage, true combo, works on taller characters, things like that. Or on shorter characters, you can do like this, into pummel, into grab, into that. Into whatever you can possibly imagine. In general, you're going to be using a lot of nair, a lot of running down tilts, bombs, and boomerang as well in neutral. Boomerang is also good for a lot of the same reasons bomb is. However, you can use it a little bit differently, especially via versus. A good example is against a lot of characters that might want to run in and nair on you, you can do something as simple as, say, drifting away, and then doing boomerang, and since it point blank combos into forward air, which is one of your better kill moves, you'll be able to use it as a way of securing a lot of different stocks at a lot of different times. Especially applicable if you use it with a lot of B reversing. You just do stuff like... And otherwise, you're going to use a combination of retreating forward air is really good for when you want to beat out those kinds of options. You don't really use back air that much in neutral unless you're specifically either using it with 1, bomb setups, 2, using it just because you want a multi-hit, or 3, you can use it like this into boomerang setups. You can do that, or you can do like single hit back air into up tilt, things like that. It's a simple bread and butter that you can use while crossing people's shields up and what have you. In addition to that, you're going to be using a lot of these moves to scare people into shielding so you can just fall in and grab them. Some other good ways of doing this is you can just fall with Nair, make it look like you're going to hit them with it, and then right before you actually do, they get ready to shield and punish you for it, but it never hits their shield, you just grab them, things like that. And since you can just fish for grabs a little bit more than you could in previous games, you can be a lot more, I guess, liberal with your usage of it. Another thing, running jab. You can do stuff like running up tilt as well, but it's not as good unless you're fishing for kills. At like 120 on a lot of characters, you can just running up tilt and you can kill them, things like that. Another thing is that in addition to a lot of your boomerang and bomb stuff, you can supplement it with a lot of arrow pressure. Arrow is mostly just a move you used, kind of like Sheik Needles, but worse. Except when you have someone off stage, it actually has some pretty decent power to it. So you can use it as a kill move as well, which is pretty solid. Obviously this is mostly going to be at its best for edgeguarding, but you can do a lot of shenanigans where you make someone not want to move too much and then you can just shoot an arrow at them. And if it hits them, cool. If it doesn't, whatever. It doesn't really do that much. On another side, you can pick up your own arrows and do things like using it as a way of setting up into stuff like that. Or you can just pick up an arrow and then just shoot again, except it's 2 arrows at once. Does like twice as much damage, more knockback. So it's pretty decent for killing if you get someone off stage in general. But for the most part, arrow is going to be used for edgeguarding. Otherwise, when you don't really want to contest hitboxes, another good thing is buffered up B out of shield. The reason this works and the way it works is if you hold shield tilted upwards and mash B, nothing will happen, but if something hits your shield while you're doing that, it'll buffer a frame perfect up B out of shield, which comes out on frame 7, which is pretty fast, has good range, strong power, and you can just kill people with it in addition to its good damage output. It's one of Link's faster out of shielded options, highly recommend using it when you can. And I think that's about it for neutral. Going on to punish game, there's a lot of the stuff I mentioned earlier with the whole... On shorter characters you can do things like falling Nair into down tilt into drift away up B, 48 damage. Works on like Pichu at 0, it's great. Alright, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of your bread and butters are going to be Nair into grab into Nair, Nair into down tilt into up B when you drift away, single hit back air into up tilt, single hit back air into up smash. You can also do stuff like risky, but you can use it to get super early kills, especially on a character like Pichu. I've done that before. And there's also just stuff like, while it's not a true combo, it'll put people in positions where you'll be able to hit them quickly enough where they won't really be able to reliably react to it. Otherwise, just go crazy with bombs, practice everything you can, and just try and put people in situations where you'll be able to hit them and then kill them at percents you might not necessarily expect to otherwise. A good example of something impractical, but say using your imagination, would be something like this. If you read that someone's going to press a button there, you can just jump over them, drop it, and boom, they're dead at 40. So, go wild, practice all your bomb stuff, and go from there. The next section is edgeguarding and recovery. So a lot of your recovery is going to be fairly simple. bomb is your life force. The reason for this being is think of it kind of similar to the whole thing snakes do, where they double jump and then up B high so that they don't have to worry about being engaged. They just get above the stage and then they land with their options that are good to land with. A lot of times, I'm convinced Link mostly wants to do this, at least against characters that can edgeguard him very scarily, unless you think that they have a pattern you can exploit and then reverse up B them for it. As reverse up B and bomb jumps are going to be your primary ways of recovering in general. At least your scariest ways of just getting back out there and doing it. So when you see Link go like this, notice how he does the whole animation where he picks it up. You don't want to actually drop the bomb until he goes into that idle animation you see right now. The reason for this being is that otherwise it's going to drop the bomb slightly higher up, and then it's going to make it significantly harder for you to get the bomb jump, because the position of the bomb is simply much higher when you drop it. Whereas when you do it like this, wait for the animation, and then you can just do stuff like that, and it's fairly simple. The tech thing is something that you'll have to get used to as well, but it has a lot of other cooler things you can do too, such as, if you want to get a little more creative, you can do into reverse edge guards and all sorts of nonsense like that. As a whole though, bombs are your life. You can use something like that for a snake-style recovery if you're against a character like Pikachu, or really any character that you just do not want to mess with offstage in any capacity whatsoever. Just don't. Go up here, land with Nair, down air, whatever. Link's got pretty good landing options in general from high up, so go crazy. And you can just use that as a way of avoiding a lot of those characters. Sure, you take a little damage, but you will not get edge guarded because, well, you're all the way up there, so it's great. Otherwise, you're going to be falling with a lot of nairs, and I'd recommend practicing your reverse up Bs to where you just poke your head above the ledge. The reason for this being is that Link's up B, it actually pulls people in from kind of silly distances, to where if someone's trying to ledge trap you, you can just do something like this. You barely peek your head above the ledge at all. A hitbox is active there the whole time, so if they try and challenge it, they get hit into it, and then you go from them trying to ledge trap you to you putting them off stage, and you're Link and you have them off stage, which means you can go after them with nairs, like weak nair into strong nair. You can do weak nair into forward air sometimes. You can do weak nair into more nairs. You can do nair into nair if they still can somehow come back. Reverse up B, since it's a disjoint, it'll beat their other options, and you can just really go crazy with it. Z drop nair into double jump drop into detonation into reverse up B covers so many options, and you recover anyway. It's absolutely terrifying how much you can represent by doing this stuff like that. Get creative and just go out crazy, because that's really what this character is all about in the first place. Otherwise, you just have to remember that you want to conserve your double jump whenever possible, as since Link no longer has hook shot, this means that you have to pretty much rely on either up B, reverse up B, or bomb jumping as your ways of getting back on stage in general. So just make sure to be careful, save your jump, and rely more on bombs, because they're good. Otherwise, more stuff for edgeguarding and ledge trapping would be a good example, starting with the following. If you drop a bomb right here, notice how it's bouncing the whole time. If you just base the drop based on the size of your opponent to where you want to make sure the center of their hurt box is going to be slightly closer to the ledge than it is to the bomb. The reason for this being is that if someone does a regular ledge get up while you're doing this, what will happen is, since the bomb is bouncing, it still counts as an active hitbox. It will hit them, you can detonate on reaction, and it forces them back out. Basically, it's a ledge trap that covers a huge amount of options. They do regular get up, they do that. If they do get up attack, you can blow it up. If they try and jump, you can blow it up or forward air them by just going like that. And if they roll, well, you're sitting all the way back here anyway, so you can just like grab them into forward throw, grab them into down throw nair, grab them into whatever, F tilt, up smash, forward smash, just whatever you want, really. You can do the same for Z drop and just make sure to drop the bomb according to that position. And if they just sit there not wanting to do anything, you can just detonate it while they're on the ledge, force them back out, so on and so forth. And then you can just rely on a combination of reverse sub B shenanigans, bomb shenanigans, nairs, and other stuff to just go after them and kill them off stage, along with good old trusty arrows. Arrows are also really good for edge guarding, as they're a way of making your opponent want to use their resources off stage, so they feel like they have to do something. They do something, they either get hit by the arrow, or they do nothing, and then they die. I cannot state it enough, arrows are really, really good off stage. Make sure you use them to the utmost that you can. Also make sure you learn how to reverse a B properly so that you can do stuff like this, and it works without you getting punished for it. A good example would be stuff like that. Dead at 68. Isn't that great? Drift back with it, they're dead at 80. It's actually kind of insane just how good reverse up B is as an edgeguard tool and for forcing reversals off stage. Master it, master it, master it. You can just like nair, into nair, into nair, into reverse up B. As an edgeguard, you can do Z-drop bomb as an edgeguard since it'll just cover a ton of options against a ton of different characters. You can throw bombs, you can do this. You can go off stage with forward airs, which kills them at basically every percent. If they somehow get past you and get onto the ledge, you just reverse sub B to scoop them into it, send them back out, and the fun begins anew. Link as a whole is absolutely incredible at edgeguarding, and make sure that you are constantly harassing people off stage. Or if you don't think you're going to be able to get there in time, just pull a bomb and begin the fun ledge trapping. So on and so forth. That concludes that section. Next up, we'll be playing in Disadvantage. Alright, so a lot of Disadvantage with Link is going to be primarily played with a combination of retreating the neutral airs away from your opponent. A lot of just double jump down air, because down air is amazing. Especially if you get the auto cancel like that, you can just land with it. And otherwise, if you get hit off stage and you just don't feel like engaging whatsoever, don't! You can just bomb jump, so why would you? You can just do this, land with dare, boom, you're safe. It's great. Next up is, and lastly, is playing an advantage in general. Alright, so what you're going to be doing in advantage most of the time, if you don't have a bomb out, you pull one out. If you don't think there's value in immediately throwing at them, use a setup that launches it at them awkwardly and then just make them make a decision. You can do things like what I demonstrated there, where you launch it, act like you're going to tomahawk to bait out shield, detonate in their face, throw boomerang, and it's just, you can just force your opponent into endless guessing games if you get creative with your Link up B and bomb pressure in general. And then you just get them off stage once, and you can just get them to kill percents or to gimp percents just extremely early with a lot of reverse sub B stuff. So make sure when you hit someone, you try and take them off stage if at all possible, as Link's offstage game on his terms is otherworldly. Absolutely otherworldly. Seriously, go after people, get them. Otherwise, if you don't have a bomb and you don't think that you have enough time to get one without forfeiting potential advantage, you can go in with slightly spaced down tilts and to up Bs, like earlier. You can use a combination of boomerang to try and catch their landings into more forward airs. You can do falling nair stuff into more grabs, into more stuff, into ledge trapping, into just everything you can possibly imagine. And I think that's more or less it. Hope you guys enjoyed the Link guide, found it useful. I put a lot of information into here. And otherwise, hope this is something that ends up being a good resource for you new and aspiring Link players out there. Work on those bomb setups, and I'm sure you'll be doing some sick stuff in no time, as I genuinely believe that this character is very close to, if not flat out top tier. Seriously, Link's amazing and he's only going to get better. Either way, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe to my YouTube. I would really appreciate that. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/fatalityfalcon, and you can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/fatalityfalcon, or even drop a sub if you're feeling super generous on there. Either way, I really appreciate all of it. Hope you enjoyed and found it useful, and I hope you all have a good night.